Let's take a look at question 1 over here. So the question reads, the soldiers had been briefed on what to do dash there be an emergency. So this question here is testing you on modal auxiliary verbs. All right. So basically, these modal auxiliary verbs here, they just show you the way in which something a noun needs to be done. For example, whether it's compulsory, whether it's something that will happen in the future, etc. Okay. So if we were to look at their keywords, we are looking at some kind of action that they need to do, what to do. And this is during emergency, right? So it's very likely that uh, this action is compulsory. The emergency could be maybe a terrorist attack and things like that, right? So with that in mind, let's take a look at the options given. Will here, this is the first one, basically shows a future event. Shall tells me that intend to do something. I shall buy a cake for mother tomorrow. Right? I'm just telling you what I'm thinking of doing. Will it will rain later? That means something that will happen in the future. Would is used to offer advice. I would report to the. I will tell the teacher if I were bullied. Should here tells of an obligation or something is compulsory. Okay, so in this case here, it's quite straightforward that the answer is number 4. Now moving on, let's take a look at number 2. The doctor recommended that I dash a vision break every 30 minutes of near work. Okay, this question here is testing you on tenses. Okay, and the first keyword I observe is recommended because this is a verb. It is an action that the doctor is telling me to do. Next, I. I here is a pronoun. So you are referring to a human being. Subsequently, we have a second verb here. So if we look at this structure, verb, noun or pronoun, and a verb again, we need to apply the bare infinitive rule. Okay, so this means that my second verb here needs to be in the base form. Okay, so this means I will look at the present tense and plural, which is option number 1. Okay, so let's take a look at the other options to learn when to use them. Took, past tense, takes, present tense and singular. And we have last one, am taking. This is present continuous. Okay, so this means that my action is ongoing as I speak. Okay. I would say that for question 2, it's a very commonly tested question for bare infinitive. Hello, who's this emo duck? Yeah, hello. Yeah, so for tenses kind of question, usually it'll be one question on your bare infinitive rule. The other question usually would be from your past perfect tense or your present perfect tense. Okay, so we will encounter such questions along the way, then I will point them out to you again. Okay. Now moving on, let's take a look at number 3. Dash, do you expect us to complete our project within an hour? We need more time. Right, so for question 3 here, we are being tested on pronouns. Okay, so we observe a few things. Firstly is the completion of project. So this is likely referring to some kind of action. Okay, Moonstruck say number 1. Okay, look closely at this question. They're asking about an action. When we look at who, it's talking about person. How, method. Okay, when is used to talk about event or something related to time, and where is used to talk about location. Okay, so in this case here, the closest answer would be number 2, because the action probably is related to some kind of method. Okay, so you're correct now, Moonstruck. I'll say this kind of question is quite rare. Usually, they will test you more on what we call relative pronouns. Okay, so for our friends in P5 and P6, you may encounter those questions like who, whom, whose. This one is more common because it's more confusing for the students. Okay, now let's take a look at number 4. My elder sister is envious dash my new dress. Okay, so question 4 here is testing you on prepositions. So prepositions are words that show like the location, the position, and the relationship between different objects. Okay. Now, if we look at this question here, we see that the sister is envious, that means she's jealous. And the elaboration is at the back here. What is she jealous about? It tells you here, new dress. So maybe the author looks very beautiful in the new dress, and therefore the elder sister wasn't really happy. Okay, so let's take a look at the preposition to connect two pieces of information together. First one is of. Of basically shows the relationship between two subjects. Okay, he is the mother of John. So I'm telling you, we have John, and this lady here is referring to the mother that is related to John. Next, we have by. So by here is used to show a source. The artwork was painted by the famous artist. On shows a surface of object. Put the pen on the table now. Okay, so I'm telling you where to rest the pen. And with is used to show how two things are together. I'm going to the shopping mall with mother. So two of us are doing the same activity. Okay, so for this case here, because we are looking at how the enviousness is, the envy is related to something else, which is the new dress, we are trying to show the relationship. Why is sister angry? What is she angry about? So in this case, the answer will be number 1. Okay, then let's take a look at number 5 now. This is by far dash movie that I have ever watched. Okay, so for question 5 here, we're looking at what we call comparative words. Okay, this is a very not so common kind of question type. Usually they don't test such a question. So you can see the keyword is ever. So you're trying to emphasize something. So you're trying to emphasize that I've watched maybe hundreds of movies, but the movie, this one that I'm referring to, is like the number 1, right? So this emphasis here shows that you have watched many movies before. Okay, Okay, who is this? Horcrux. Yeah, okay, your answer is C. Any more answers? Okay, very good. In this case here, our answer is number 3. Okay, because the most, so most here is superlative. That means you are comparing 3 or more objects. Okay, more here is what we call comparative. So we are only comparing 2 objects. Very entertaining and entertaining. Sorry, these are adjectives. So they don't really suggest that there are many movies that you have watched before. So we don't consider them. Okay. Yeah, and so far that will be for our first 5 questions. Okay, I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information first before we move on to our next 5 questions. Okay, if there are no further questions, then let's take a look at question 6 now. I'm going to pass the test with flying colors. Dash, ask Sharon. So this question is testing you on a question tag. Okay, so the first thing that we need to observe, that I observe, is there isn't a positive or negative connotation in front. So in the easier kind of questions, we have has, then we know at the back will be hasn't. You know, kind of thing like that. Over here, I don't have any positive or negative connotation. So it's very challenging. Right? So how do we approach such a question? Okay, so for this kind of more challenging questions, you need to look at the tense first. Pass the test. So this is present tense. Okay, so then we look at all the options. All of them seem to be present tense. So the next step we need to do is to look at this context. Okay, so we are looking at the person saying I. Okay, and over here I'm, so it's I am. Okay, so we need to remember this is my positive connotation here, so I need a negative connotation at the back. So definitely number 2 will be out because it is definitely not a negative connotation. Option 1 will also be out, so I'm left with option 3 and 4. So in this case here, my answer will be number 4. Okay, if I want to use don't, I need to have a do somewhere, which isn't the case for question 6. Now, apart from this, this is slightly more challenging because we don't really think of am together with aren't. Okay, but they are supposed to come together in the in a question tag kind of question. Okay, the more common ones that we'll see is I seldom drive. You have something like that. So seldom here means I do not. So it'll be do I. You know, you need to get used to encountering these kind of words. I usually drive. Okay, then this means I do drive. Then it'll be don't I. Okay, so when you encounter this kind of questions, seldom or usually, it's basically you just need to look at the tense first. Okay, is connotation the right term? The positive and negative connotation thing, is it? Well, if you look at the meaning of connotation, we are just looking at an idea or feeling which a word invokes, right? So basically, if I were to say that it is a positive connotation, it means that uh, it's just a tool for you to learn something easily, right? When it's positive and negative, I just need the two opposite poles. Okay. So if you have if you can't understand positive and negative, you can just put a plus and a minus. Okay. Now moving on, let's take a look at number 7. Okay, people who work at night have to get used to dash in the daytime. Okay, so for question 7 here, we're interested in tenses again. Now, we are looking at some keywords here, right? Including they have to get used. So get over here is a verb already. Okay. In one sentence, you cannot have two verbs together, right? So in this case, if you were to look at all the options, actually, you may be scratching your head. Then how does this question even come out in an exam, right? But you must remember that there is something called a juron, which basically means it's a verb that is acting as a noun. Okay, and usually such jurons are in this form, a verb with an ing behind. All right, so in this case here, for question 7, we are actually looking for a juron, which means that the only option we have is number 4. All right. Now let's quickly look at the other options to learn when to use them. Slept is past tense, sleep present tense and plural, and sleeps, this is present tense and singular. Okay. Now, sleeping can either be used as a juron or it will be in the continuous form. So in order to make it a correct tense, I need to add is in front. So is sleeping. This will be in the where did I put it? This will be in the present continuous tense. Okay. Which means that my action is ongoing as I speak. Can follow so far, everybody? If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the comment section. In terms of this kind of juron questions, we do encounter them quite a bit for our prelim papers. But usually the most common kind are your bare infinitive question. So for our friends who haven't joined us earlier this afternoon, we're looking at number 2, where you have your verb, noun, verb kind of sentence structure. Those are the very common kind, along with your had and have, something, your past perfect as well as your present perfect tense. Okay, we haven't encountered such a question, the past or present perfect kind of questions today. But later when we have when we go through the papers and we see such a question, then I will sound it out to you guys, okay? Okay, let's take a look at number 8 now. Advice about possible career choices dash given to the students who are interested to know more. Okay, this question is also very common and it's very straightforward. So we are looking at subject-verb agreement kind of questions. Okay, so when we encounter a subject-verb agreement question, 2 things to take note: present or past tense, singular or plural. Okay, so let's take a look at the keywords. Firstly, we are looking at advice. So advice here is a collective noun. So we need to use a singular. So we'll consider it as singular. So we will eliminate option 2 and option 4. Okay. Next, we are looking at students who are interested, right? So this is in the present tense. So singular and present tense, the answer will be very straightforward, number 1. Okay. Now moving on, look at number 9. As you continue to work hard, you will not achieve your goals. So question 9 is testing you on conjunctions. Okay. So there are few things that we need to take note. Firstly, continue to work hard. So this is a criteria. That means you need to do this action in order to achieve a certain outcome. And the outcome is stated at the back. Achieve your goals. Okay. So basically, I'm saying that you need to fulfill or you need to do this criteria first. Only then you can achieve the outcome. So we are looking at looking to choose a conjunction. So your conjunction is used to connect 2 different pieces of information together. So looking at this, the first one is if. If shows a hypothetical event. So we are looking at a particular event that doesn't happen in real life. If I have $1 million, I would donate some to the poor. Right? So it hasn't happened in my real life, but this is a possible event. Next is since. Since we are looking at from a time in the past to a time under consideration. For example, the baby has been crying since the morning. So we're looking at a particular time period in which a particular action has been ongoing. Unless it's used to show criteria, despite it's used to show contrast. Okay? So for this case here, my answer will be number 3, unless, because of the criteria and outcome that are presented in my sentence. Now, I would just like to point out that for the more recent prelim papers, the 2024 ones especially, please be very mindful of the conjunctions that are used to show your contrast. For example, although, despite, however, but. Okay? Because the more challenging questions for conjunction which have been tested would give you all the contrast conjunctions, and you are forced to choose the correct one. Okay, so maybe I would just go through the conjunctions for contrasting information to help you out. Now, although and despite can be quite similar, however, despite is always followed by a noun only. But for although, you have your noun as well as a verb. And however is always at the start of sentence. Okay, so just remember the three usage of your words, your conjunctions here, and you'll be fine. Although Ali was running slowly, he still finished second in the race. So you can see here, Ali is my noun. He's a human being. Then I have my action, my verb here, running. If I use despite, it will just be despite running slowly, Ali still finished second in the race. Okay. So in this case here, I'm just referring to someone's the situation where somebody is running slowly. So in this case, I can consider this event as my noun. Okay. Lastly, we have however. So it will be Ali ran slowly. However, he finished second in the race. So however needs to be in between the two sentences. Okay. Now some of you may be thinking, then can I say despite Ali running slowly? Does it work? Well, if you want to add Ali inside, it will be despite the fact that Ali ran slowly, and can. So I'm still referring to the fact. A fact is a noun. Alright? So that would be how we go about differentiating your different contrasting words. Okay? I'm just going through these three because they are the three most common ones. Okay? There are also others like but, notwithstanding, though, yada yada. Okay? But we don't really encounter these words during our prelim, so I will go through them another day. Okay. But for the three, although, despite, and however, I think you guys take note of this. They are very, very common, and they will be tested in one paper or another, and that's where students usually encounter issues. All right. Okay, let me erase first, then I look at question 10. Neither of the twins dared to join in the game, but they have offered to organize it. So for question 10, we're also interested in tenses, alright? The first thing that we observe is neither, which means zero. Therefore, we will we'll consider it as a singular subject. Next, they have offered to, but they have offered. Okay, just take note at the back here. They have offered. So have offered here is your present perfect. So this means a completed action, but the effect is still felt. So in this case here, what we are pointing, what we need to take note of is the fact that at this current moment, so in the present, the twins don't want to join. But in the past, they offer to organize the thing, the game. Okay, so we need to be very clear. Are we looking at the current moment or are we looking at the past event? Okay, so in this case here, we are looking at the current moment where they are not interested to join in the game. So we need to consider present tense, and because it's neither, it will be zero. So we need to consider it as a singular subject. So the answer was quite straightforward. It will be number 2. Okay. Now let's take a look at the other options to learn when to use them. Once is present tense singular. Want, this is present tense and plural. Wanted is past tense. Wanting, this is in continuous form. So as mentioned earlier, you will need to add your is or your are in front of wanting in order to make it a present continuous tense. Now, we do encounter these neither kind of questions very often, but I just want to share with everybody the difference. This one don't have the word nor. So neither of the twins. We are looking at 0. Nobody. Therefore, it's singular. Okay, because it's 0, we use a singular. We consider it a singular subject. The other one that we may encounter is neither the twins nor Ali. Okay, so when you encounter this kind of question, we need to exercise the rule of proximity. So Ali here is singular. But if I change it to neither Ali nor the twins, then it's a different story because twins here is plural. So the usage of the verb will be totally different. All right. So just be very careful when you encounter such questions. Okay. Now, just give everyone some time to take in the information first before we move on to our next section, which is vocab. All right, moving on, let's take a look at our next part here. Vocab. The culprits were fortunate to escape punishment despite the dash of their offense. Okay, Adrian is very fast. Okay, just bear with me as I explain to everybody. So firstly, we are looking at the keyword. They were fortunate, so they are lucky. So what did happen? To escape punishment. So it suggests that the kind of mistake they done must be quite serious. That's why they will be punished, maybe by caning, by detention in school, whatever, right? So looking at the different options, severity here refers to something being very serious. Urgency means something requires swift action. Intensity means that something is of an extreme degree of, okay? And difficulty means something is hard to accomplish. Okay, so in this case here, our answer would be number 1, the severity of the offense. Okay, so very good, Adrian. Okay, moving on. Let's take a look at number 12. Kelly was dashed for her brave act in saving the drowning child. Okay, so you can see over here that we're looking at her brave act. So it's something that deserves some kind of praise, right? Okay, Adrian is very fast again. He put number 4. So number 4 here, commended, it basically means that you are praised in a formal manner. So it could be like you are praised in front of everybody in the school, right, during your morning assembly, something like that. Now looking at the other options, notice means that you became aware of something. Next is approve. So approve here means that you officially agree to something. Then we have appreciated, which means that you understand something fully. Okay. So in this case here, the best answer will be number 4, when she's commended. Okay. Now moving on, let's take a look at number 13. Your new jacket really dashed the color of your eyes. So for number 13 here, we're looking at phrasal verbs. Okay. And we're looking at how the new jacket complements this thing, the color of the eye. So it basically is like they are the jacket and the eyes, the jacket color as well as the eyes, they go together. So one makes the other better. Okay. So looking at the different options, the first one is bring in. So when you bring in something, it means you introduce something new. Next, we have bring up. So bring up means that you look up. Means you look after a child until he or she is an adult. Next, we have bring out. So bring out means make something more evident. Or you're trying to emphasize something. Okay. While bring along means you take something along with you to a place. Okay, so in this case here, our answer actually would be to bring out. So you are trying to emphasize. So maybe when you wear the jacket, people can somehow see the color of your eyes, something like that. So you got to do with like the jacket style as well as the color. Yeah, very good, Clara and Adrian. The answer here will be number 3. Okay. Now moving on, look at number 14 now. Lester dash that we go to his house for a meal and we oblige. Okay, in this case, the keyword actually is oblige. That means you agree to something after disagreeing at the start. Okay. Okay, Adrian say number 3. Are there any more answers? Now looking at the options, the first one is allege. So it means that you're taught by people to be taught by others to have done something bad. So for example, the alleged criminal, kind of things like that. Next one is claim. Claim means say something is true, although you say something that is true or is a fact, although you cannot prove it. Then we have insisted. So insisted means you demand something forcefully. And protested means that you object to what someone say or oppose. Okay. So in this case here, because we oblige, that means you agree to something, it's likely because Adrian was very forceful. So the Lester was very forceful, right? So the closest answer is number 3, insisted. Okay, so very good, Adrian. Now moving on, let's take a look at 15. It is better to do something slowly and properly as dash. So the whole idea is that you want to do something, you want to do it once and do it well, right? In short. So let's take a look at some of these idioms here. The first one is haste makes waste. This means that you're rushing to act quickly. Rushing can lead to wasted effort. Okay. Next is still water runs deep, which means that people who say little actually know a lot. So it's like those people who are very quiet, they actually have a lot of knowledge. A stitch in time saves 9. Number 3 means you solve a problem immediately. To save the effort. For work later. Lastly, time and tide wait for no man means you don't waste time. Okay. So for this question here, the closest answer would be number 1. Because the whole idea is you want to do it properly and do it once and do it well. Okay, so very good, Adrian. Alright, we have come to the end of this vocabulary part. I'll just give everybody some time to take in the information before we move on to our vocabulary close, okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the chat. Okay. Now let's move on to our vocabulary close now. So what will happen is as follows. I'll read through the text with you and we'll understand the underlying words. Once done, we'll look at the options and choose the most appropriate one. Okay. Max, being a mischievous boy, decided to play a trick on his teacher, Mrs. Chan. He scooped his pet mouse Jerry into his pocket and headed for school. So scoop over here means you pick up something with a scoop, like literally. Or it could be like what do you call that? A spoon or something that you can, when you take the thing up, everything can be on that surface. So surreptitiously, Max let Jerry loose, making sure no one will catch him in the act. So surreptitiously means that you don't, in a way that avoids being noticed. So it's like secretly, something like that. At once, he scampered to the front of the class and squeaked. So scampered means you run with quick light steps. Stupefied to see the mouse, Mrs. Chan screamed. The whole class rocked with laughter. So stupefied here means that someone is unable to think or feel properly. Okay? So unamused, she declared angrily, if no one admits to playing this trick, I shall punish the whole class. So as soon as they heard that, they stopped laughing and turned to look at Max, expecting him to own up. Max knew he was in hot soup. So own up here means you admit to doing something wrong. Okay? So let's take a look at the options now. So first one is scoop, which means you pick up something with a scoop or some kind of equipment, right? So first option is lifted. So lifted means you raise to a higher position or level. Second is through. Through means that means you propel something with force through the air. So it's like you're a human being, you throw something, then you'll fly, right? So that's the act of propelling something with force in the air. Grab basically means that you see something suddenly. And this is usually using your hands. Remove means you get rid of something. Okay? So in this case here, the closest answer we have would be number 1. Because when you scoop the mouse up, it basically means that the mouse was on the floor. You take it up to a higher position, maybe at your chest level, or maybe put on your head, right? Because it's a pet mouse. Now let's take a look at number 17. We're looking at surreptitiously, which means that you are doing it like in a very stealthy, secretive manner. You don't want people to notice you, right? So looking at question 17, the first option that we have here is trickily. So trickily means in a way that is difficult to deal with. And you will need some kind of attention or care. Next is furtively, which means that you want to avoid attention or notice. Indirectly means without clearly mentioning or saying something. And deceptively means you give a misleading impression. Okay. Okay, so in this case here, our closest answer would be number 2, furtively, because you want to avoid the kind of attention. Okay. Now moving to question 18 now, scampered. So we're referring to how somebody is running with quick light steps. So it's like pop, 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 like the small animal running. So looking at our options, sped, this basically means you move quickly. Skip, this means you move along lightly, 1 foot at a time. So usually, we are looking at how a boy or a human being, maybe a child, skip to school. That means he's very happy, he's very relaxed. Okay, thirdly is sprinted, which means you run at full speed over a short distance. While scurried means that you move hurriedly with small, quick steps. Okay, so the closest answer that we have for over here would be number 4. Okay, when you move hurriedly with small, quick steps. Because of this idea that you're running with quick, light steps. Yeah, very good, Adrian. Okay, now moving on, let's take a look at number 19. So number 19 is the word stupefied, which suggests that someone is unable to think or feel properly. So look at the options. Number 1 is numb. Numb means unable to feel a certain part of the body. Next, you have amazed. So amazed means you are greatly surprised or astonished. Shocked here means that you are surprised or upset by a situation. While the last option is confused, which means that you are something is difficult to understand. Okay. So in this case here, if we were to look at back at the meaning of stupefied, it means that you are at a state of shock. You cannot think, you cannot express your feelings properly. So if we were to look at the different options given, the closest answer actually is not 4, but rather it will be number 3. Okay, when you are greatly astonished, sorry, when you are upset by the situation. Okay, not number 2. Okay, when you are upset, it means that you are unable to react properly to the situation. Okay. Okay, last question, number 20. So we are looking at how Max needs to own up to his mistake, which means that he needs to admit to doing something wrong. So looking at our options here, the first one is plead. So plead here means you make an emotional appeal. So maybe you're trying to ask for a lighter punishment, kind of thing like that. Next is blame. Blame means you declare someone responsible for a fault. Then you have confess, which means that you admit something was wrong, admit someone done something wrongly. Well, acknowledge here means you accept the existence of a truth. Okay, so for question 20 here, we're looking at how somebody know that he did something wrong. So this idea that a mistake is made needs to be clear. And the closest answer actually is number 3, because of the idea that you have done something wrongly. Zoom out a bit. Can see now? Okay, so back to my point, you need to emphasize the meaning has to be linked to a mistake or someone has done something wrongly. Then we can consider that as the answer. All right. Now I'll just leave this here for a bit for everyone to take in the information. Okay, and we'll move on in a minute or two. Okay, if you have no further questions, let's move on to section B now. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at grammar clause first. MOH has confirmed one imported case of monkeypox infection in Singapore. The patient is a 42-year-old British national, dash work as a flight attendant. So we are referring to the main subject of the sentence here, this British national. And this guy engaged in some kind of action, right? So over here, we are looking at a relative pronoun, right? We are replacing the subject of a sentence. So the closest answer is P, who. MOH said that the man was in Singapore between 15 June 17 June 2022. So we are looking at the time period here. When we have the word between, it needs to be accompanied by the word and. They are like twinnies. They need to come together, right? He flew in and out of Singapore and was tested positive monkeypox on 20th June. So you can see the positive test result is related to a disease here. So in this case, the monkeypox is like an elaboration of something that is positive. So it will be he tested positive for the monkeypox. Okay. He's currently warded at the National Center for Infectious Diseases and his condition is currently stable. Initially, the man headache and fever. These symptoms were subsequently resolved, but soon he developed skin rashes. Okay, for question 32 here, we are looking at how this action of headache and fever took place first, followed by them being healed. So there are two different actions that took place, one after the other, and both of them took place in the past. So the first action for question 32 here needs to be in past perfect tense. So it will be he had the headache and the fever first, right? Then soon so over here we are looking at a sequence of events. Right, that the symptoms were resolved. After that, there were more dangerous symptoms, right? Skin rashes here. So you'll say soon after he suffered from the skin rashes. Contact tracing is ongoing for the affected flights and for the duration of his stay in Singapore. This period, he largely remained in his hotel room, except to visit a massage establishment and eat at 3 food establishments. Okay, so we are looking at the time period, a specific time period where certain action occurred. Okay, in this case, it's the event where the British national who was infected with monkeypox was interacting with the public while still having the disease, right? So we will say that it was during this period. Okay. In general, at locations, so you can see this is plural, the risk of transmission to visitors low. So we are pointing to particular locations where the British national was found, right, or had visited. So it will be these locations. Okay, because we are looking at plural and we are relating to just something that has just been mentioned, right? Here, massage establishment, eat at 3 food establishments. So we are just talking about the same thing, nothing else. Now, moving to question 36, we see that the risk here is low. Your risk is a singular subject. Okay, and we're looking at a speech. So usually the information presented during your speech would be present tense. Okay, so in this case, the answer would be is number H. It's just a very straightforward subject-verb agreement question here. Can follow so far, everyone? Now let's take a look questions, the last two questions. Data has shown that monkeypox transmits through either close physical dash prolonged contact. Now you can see physical contact means the skin of two people need to touch one another, and at the same time the contact can also the disease can also be transmitted with prolonged contact. That means if you touch one another for a short period of time, or you are close to one another, you never touch one another, you're just very close to one another, you can be infected. So these are two different options to get infected, or two different ways to be infected, right? So what question 37 is looking at is actually a conjunction to link these two things together. So the closest answer we have is or. Okay. Now moving on, it says that all 4 locations visited by the case are undergoing cleaning and disinfection. And 13 close contacts have been identified. They will be placed on quarantine for 21 days. That's their last contact with the case. Okay, we are looking at how this 21 days starts with the first day starts here, when they are in last contact with the case. So the closest answer would be since. It's a conjunction to show how we are looking at a particular time period. And the start and end date is clearly specified. All right. Okay, I'll just give everybody a minute or two to take in the information. If you need to clarify something with me, please feel free to type them in the comment section. All right. Okay. If there are no further questions, we'll look at some editing questions now. Dear Diary, my first day of school was memorable. I could still recall the events that happened even after a long time. Dash I reminisce my primary school life, I will feel nostalgic. Now, first thing is here. You reminisce your primary school life is a particular event. So instead of what refers to an object, it will be when. So it'll be whenever. Okay? Nostalgic is spelled this way. I woke up to the sound of my alarm clock early that morning, and a wave of excitement overwhelmed me. So overwhelmed is also spelled wrongly. It is how you spell it. I got ready for school when my mother packed my snack box filled with nutritious food. Entering into the school premises, I had a simultaneous feeling of joy and fear. The premises is also a spelling error. Many boys and girls were playing merrily at the school compound. So it's seeing over here is in continuous form, the ing form, right? But what we are looking at is actually past tense, right? Because over here I woke up to, I got ready, I had, many boys and girls were, right? So it will be seen. Okay, sorry, seen over here is in the not past tense, in the participle form. Okay, because of the word were in front. So we're looking at this event here, boys and girls playing, took place sometime in the past. All right. In the classroom, the mood was intensive. Okay, in what we are looking at here is trying to use an adjective to describe the mood. So the closest answer we have would be is intense. Okay. As soon as I got used to the routine for scheduled classes, I finally understood the importance of having a disciplined life. So discipline is spelled this way. If any of us misbehave or did not pay attention in class, our teachers reprimand us. So misbehave is spelled this way. Instead of could reprimand, it will be the teachers would reprimand us. Okay? Because could is used to express a possibility of something. Whereas for would, we're looking at something that is likely to happen because of a previous event. My form teacher went through our school rules before getting us to introduce to our classmates. So it cannot be went through our school rules because it's not like a paper where you go through the mistakes, right? So what the teacher is actually trying to do is to, just talk about the school rules, maybe from point 1 to point 10. Just telling you all the different rules. So in this case, it went over the rules. Okay. Now you say introduce, you say getting us. So this is already plural. So it'll be to introduce ourselves. I started to enjoy the conducive environment of the class. So environment is also spelled wrongly. This is how you spell it. All right. And with that, we have come to the end of this editing exercise. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information first before we move on to our next section. Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, then thank you everyone for joining me this afternoon on Writers at Work TikTok session. I'm teacher Nathan, and if you have time this afternoon, you may also like to join us at around 4:40 p.m., where we'll be going through another paper, and I will share my insights with regards to P6 paper 2 again. Okay. If not, I'll see you guys around on our TikTok. So bye bye.